Okay. I want to talk about Kevin Huerter real quick.
Yeah.
I've always loved Kevin Huerter. I think that we've talked about this previously when we talked about Sacramento, I think last week. Atlanta giving away Kevin Huerter basically was an insane decision.
Yeah, in a salary tax dump, which was just ridiculous.
Right. It was essentially a tax dump. And like he's averaging 17 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists. He's a good secondary creator. He's a great attacker of closeouts. You can run him off of second side ball screens. He's shooting 49.5% from 3 this season. I will repeat. He is shooting 49.5% from 3 this season, and it doesn't feel like overly inflated. Everything Kevin Huerter has done this year has been absolutely phenomenal. I am an enormous Kevin Huerter fan.
Yeah. He's like what's been so fun, like we mentioned off top, like I mean, De'Aaron Fox to me has been like I can't like say top whatever, but like I mean, De'Aaron Fox has been a pretty clear all-star this year. He's taken the leap. He's really doing a lot of things that you and I both want to see from him. But what's been the bread and butter of the Kings offense has been the Sabonis Huerter 2-man game. Like the Sabonis Huerter 2-man game has been one of the more wildly efficient and effective plays, not even just plays, because they do so much out of it, which is what makes it fun. Like they run a ton of motion, run a ton of handoffs, doing tons of things with just ping-ponging the basketball. Pinballing the basketball that just works so well for Huerter. Like, even though Huerter was fantastic for me in Atlanta in his role and what he was asked to do, like, I think this is the kind of offense that you really want to see him in, that gets the most out of him. Like, as good as he was in Atlanta, that offense has never been super motion based. Like, it's never been a lot of movement. It's really like, okay, we're doing a ton of high ball screens because we have one of the best pick and roll playmakers in basketball. That made sense. But again, for what Kevin does and what Kevin's capable of, like, this is the shit. Like, I absolutely love it. And we're seeing more of him getting to dip into doing the secondary playmaking, like you mentioned, especially too when he's not having to create out of a standstill pick and roll. Like, he's doing way more that looks effective with the ball in his hands, attacking, constantly cutting, moving. I've loved it. I don't know what to think of in terms of like quote unquote ceiling for Kevin Huerter. I don't know if this has made me reassess what his ceiling is. Like, I think I've always thought like he could kind of step into a bigger role like this if he was featured a little bit more. And like you mentioned, I mean, he's shooting almost 50% from 3 on 7.5 attempts per game. And it doesn't feel fluky. Like, even if it's going to come down, it comes down to 42% on the season. Like, cool. That's still one of the best shooters in basketball. Like, ironically, he's only shooting 67% at the line this year on a career high free throw rate, that's what makes it hilarious. But yeah, he's been really impressive this year, man. And he has like touch in the mid range too. And I think what I'm interested to see is how that can continue to develop out. Like, can he get a little bit stronger? Is there a way for him to really develop a more refined floater game? Because I think that that's where I'm more interested to see some of that stuff change up. Interestingly enough, he's taken the least, like, I feel like this would not be what I would have guessed, but he's had the least self-created twos in his career this season, or is on track to, in terms of just what percentages. Like, so last year, 52% of his looks were assisted on twos. 71% have been assisted this year. Again, part of that is the Kings are a super heavy ball movement offense, which is what really works well for him. But just interesting to see stuff like that. Like, I could speak on his game for forever, man. He's been really fun.
Yeah, look, I mean, they have a lot of ball handlers. De'Aaron Fox, Domantas Sabonis, Keegan Murray can handle the ball a little bit. Malik Monk can handle it a little bit. Davion Mitchell's obviously a point guard. Like, they just have a lot of dudes that can handle the ball, and he's obviously another one of them that can really handle the ball. So he's just not asked to do quite as much in terms of like creating his shot and putting pressure on the rim. It's more like they'll run like a 2-man game and run all sorts of weird dribble handoffs, try and get him open for 3 and run him off of like random ghost screens sometimes to like try and get him open, like slipping. Right. It's really, really fun to watch. The the Beam team is just the best. The Beam team is
Kings
the
fans
most fun.
are. I say this, yeah, like I think Kings fans are my favorite people to interact with on Twitter, man. Like they're just like, I mean, yeah, like you have an immaculate appreciation for good basketball when your team hasn't made the playoffs since I was in second grade. So, yeah, it's been very fun just to watch this Kings team overall.
The Beam team, I need them to win. I need them to win as many games as possible. I need them to like make the playoffs. This is like last year. I loved watching the Minnesota Timberwolves, especially by like game 35 or so. They were probably like my favorite team to watch in the league. It's immediate this year. Sacramento is my favorite team, like by far. I watch more Kings games than any other team in the league just because like I'm like, okay, I have a random time slot where I can put on an NBA game. Yeah, I'd rather just watch the Kings. Like, this is great. Like, I'd rather just enjoy myself watching up-tempo basketball, and I'll get a chance to see the team they're playing, and we'll go from there. Like, this team is so good. They're so fun. They're so enjoyable. I don't know what their ceiling is because I don't know if they can defend anyone, but they're fun to watch, and that's really all I care right now.